Hey, this is Darin Garman coming at you today with a iowalandlordtools.com update. iowalandlordtools.com update. And what the updates really are, if you're new, if you've just joined us, I really started a process where I'm there to help. Well, I've always been there to help apartment community owners, landlords, managers. I've always been there for that. And I've done a lot of that over the years, obviously. But now more than ever, I want to make sure everybody is aware that I am available to help, to give some input and information about the Eastern Iowa multifamily community market as I know it. Not only with information I have from what I see here, but the information I get and the conversations I have and the information that I share with many other multifamily community owners around the U.S. And so glad you've joined me today and glad you're listening in. So what I want to update you on right now is going to sound like, I'm going to sound negative. And I'm just going to tell you, I'm going to sound negative. And the funny thing is, if you'd ask people that spend time around me, work with me, work by me, they're going to say I'm one of the most optimistic guys you're ever going to meet. And that's not to say I skip around whistling and singing, like Mary Poppins. By the way, that movie, depending on how old you are, you have no idea what I'm talking about or it resonates. But so I'm not dancing around and singing like Mary Poppins, but I'm one of the most optimistic guys out there. And so when I talk about what I'm going to be discussing with you today, it's something you really want to listen to. Because, not because I think, that I'm really smart or I've got it figured out. That's not it. That's not it at all. It's really being practical, especially in terms of what I have seen and been through personally as an apartment community owner as well over the years. And so let me kind of set the stage for you. I've spent a lot of time talking to, of course, apartment community owners and investors. Not surprisingly, that's what I do. And I've been seeing something over the last 2 or 3 weeks. I don't find it alarming. Okay, I'm not going to go that far. But I will say I'm a little concerned. And it really stems from the attitude and the outlook that many apartment community owners and managers have that this pandemic, the effects of the pandemic more specifically is what I'm talking about, are starting to subside. States are opening up slowly here and there, some faster, some slower. Things are loosening up, businesses are open, so things are opening and loosening up. And an attitude that I have heard and seen for many apartment community owners has been one of, things have been really good. We had a good April, we had a really good May, our collections are good. June, our collections are going to be good for June. And the attitude is a combination of our properties are so good and we're so damn good at what we do, we've got this kind of figured out. And B, thinking you kind of know what the future holds based on the past. And by the way, both are absolutely, ridiculously wrong. Wrong. So, look, you may be very good at what you do. I'm not saying that. But to think, and maybe you haven't verbalized this or even thought of it in this way, but to think that what you've done so far and the processes that you've gone through have produced positive or a heck of a lot better results than what you anticipated is no indication that you know what the hell you're doing and that you've got this figured out. Yes, so far you've probably done good. So far so good, yes. But we are far from over here. You better be thinking of not, well, are we going to be collecting rent for April, May, and June? You better be thinking of what does October, November, and December hold for us. Because remember, it's not about, now listen to this very carefully, okay? It's not about demand for our apartments. We can fill our apartments all day long. It's about the ability of the residents to be able to pay. It has nothing to do with whether you can get the units occupied. It has to do with will they pay rent. And if they're not working, folks, or if they're working jobs they don't like, or they're not making as much money, or they want to use whatever excuse to not work even though they could, you will not get paid. So my recommendation is to be looking at this like you're not out of the woods yet here. As a matter of fact, you're like halfway through. Probably. At the best, you're halfway through. You still got halfway to go. And halfway might even be a little kind. We may not even be halfway. So you want to be thinking in those terms. And to be figuratively patting yourself on the back is not a good idea. Of course, do you want to encourage your teams? Yes. Do you want to encourage your managers? Yes. I mean, do you want to feel good about what you've accomplished so far? Of course, if you've been successful. Yes. But I'm getting the feeling from some of these owners and some of these managers, well, we own the Gables apartments. We kind of got our shit figured out. Yeah, you don't. So that's number one. Number two has to do with systems and strategies in place where you need to be thinking months down the road. Okay? Now, this is hard because we have, and every business has gone through this, by the way, and some obviously more successful than others depending on their category and what they're doing. And in no other time have we been forced to think in really three ways. By the hour, strategy by the hour, by the week or month, and by the next 6 to 12 months. Now, I think conventionally and over the last 100 years or so, apartment community owners, as things have evolved, have pretty much thought into the future. What's our rent going to be this year, next year? What's our budget's going to be? We're always thinking ahead and planning. And by the way, that's good. But what I've been finding with more and more apartment community owners recently is they're not thinking down the road that far and not working on some kind of at least an outline of a plan, budgets, operations, staff, etc., because they're worried about June. They're worried about the middle of June. They're worried about, well, now we got all these evictions. Now how do we do that? Which, by the way, I get it. But just keep in mind, your problem is not really here. You need to be focusing on what's going to happen down the road. Again, we're not even halfway through the forest here yet. So, yes, things change almost by the hour with what we do. And we've got to pay attention to those and take care of those fires when they light up. Yes. But you want to make sure you're thinking of October, November, December, and January. What ifs? What ifs collections are down? What ifs utilities go up? What if? I mean, you want to go through and at least think about some of these scenarios, especially some of those scenarios that you know you're faced with either company-wise, management-wise, investor expectation-wise, lender-wise, etc., etc. And look, I understand you can't plan everything out. I mean, I'm not saying you take 3 days and create a what-if list and try to create responses and strategy for every what-if you come up with. But everybody's got like a core 4 or 5. You know, what's on everybody's list is, okay, if our rent collections go down 25 to 30% by September, October, November, by Thanksgiving, okay, because the job markets just have not come back very strong. What's out there, for those kind of reasons, well, what are you going to do? What kind of conversations are you going to be having? See, you'd rather be kind of ready for this and not have the stuff come up than not be ready and then you're chasing your tail. You're chasing your tail. Okay? So, think about those two things. I think overall, most apartment community owners and landlords have done much better than what they thought they would be doing in terms of collections so far. But when the stimulus money runs out, when unemployment runs out, when ambition for some of our residents to get another job, a different job, a job that might not even be nearly as good as the one they had before, et cetera, what are you going to do with your collections? It's going to impact. Not only that, it's going to impact what you can charge for rent, what you can release apartments for, and your rent raises, if you're going to have any this year at all. Right? So, some things to think about as we go into the first week of June. So I'm glad you joined me today. As always, I'm interested in your feedback, comments, questions. Would love to hear from you. You can send me an email at Darin at Heartland Investment Partners with an S. That's Darin at heartlandinvestmentpartners.com. Or give me a call at 319-350-5378. That would be great. And as always, keep in mind, we are always looking for apartment communities to own in and around Eastern Iowa. This is where we are. This is where we basically have set up our home base. And we want to stay in Eastern Iowa. So if you are an owner of an apartment community in Eastern Iowa and you're contemplating possibly selling that asset sometime this year, please contact me. I would love to talk to you. Okay? All right. Talk to you later, everybody. We'll see you. Bye-bye.